Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, Bootler, Shills, Death Slicers. I'm a useful idiot, and today I would like to talk about Newt Gingrich finally smelling the coffee and bowing out of the 2012 election cycle. I know this is relatively old news, but I was reading the details about his debt load and his campaign, and it became a lot bigger story for me, and that is the indictment of the extravagance and decadence and arrogance of our politicians and our election cycle. Let's get down to the gory details. Newt Gingrich stopped his campaign and is $4.6 million in debt, which is pretty extraordinary. When you look at the other candidates, Michelle Bachmann retired her campaign with $1 million in debt. Rick Santorum retired his campaign with $1.9 million in debt. And Rick Perry retired his campaign with a mere $14,000 in debt. But Newt Gingrich campaign is $4.6 million in debt. $3 million of that was spent in the last month between February and March, when it was pretty clear that his campaign was over. So I'm sure he would justify it by saying it was a last-ditch attempt to see if his campaign had viability. So they had to spend a lot of extra money to see if they could pull some victories out. My read on it, of course, would be that the gravy train was about to end, and everybody went on a last-minute feeding frenzy and bought the best wines and liquors, ate the best food, snorted big sacks of blow, and rented the best hookers. So, but that's how I see things in Washington, D.C. So anyway, there's a lot of precedents for this, though, and that's another interesting aspect of the election cycle, where they rack up these huge campaign debts, and as it turns out, a lot of them don't pay them back. Hillary Clinton still owes $245,000 from the last campaign. Rudy Giuliani still owes creditors $1.5 million from 2008. John Edwards still owes $300,000 from his campaign in 2004. Alan Keyes owes $300,000 for his campaign in 2000. That was 12 years ago. And Senator John Glenn of Ohio still owes $3 million from 1984. That was over 25 years ago. And incidentally, he went to the Federal Election Commission in 2005 and said he couldn't pay it, and they said fine. So how nice is that? They can just hang on to these debts for years and decades and not pay them back, or just finally say I can't pay it, and it's wiped clean. So you and I, as just ordinary citizens, if you don't pay your $20 electric light bill in 30 days, they're going to come after your ass. So just another example of the fact that these people don't live in the same world as we do. But as far as what this says to me about our political candidates and our election cycle is that, the creditors that are not going to get paid back, some of them are larger businesses, but for the most part it's going to be citizens who were campaign workers who believed in Newt Gingrich and supported him, and a lot of small businesses that did all the small work and the leg work and set up for the local events and all of that, and they're going to get stiffed. So all this rhetoric about small businesses and American citizens, and they don't really care. These are the people they're going to screw over. So do we need to send more people to Washington, D.C. that are more than happy to screw over small businesses and citizens? And do we still want to send people like this to Washington, D.C. when even when their campaign's at a dead end, they just keep spending and spending and spending to feed into their bloated egos? When asked why he kept his campaign going when it was costing so much, Newt Gingrich said, well, legally I'm entitled to that money, and I'm going to spend it, so it's mine. What an arrogant prick. Do we really need to send more people to Washington that spend more money than they take in? Obviously, if Newt Gingrich's campaign is $4.6 million in debt, he can't control his spending, and he is not fiscally responsible. He'll spend whatever it takes, once again, to feed his bloated ego. So do we need to send more people like that to Washington, D.C.? And then the fact that they'll sell their endorsements to unload their debt debt loads. So now we have the Republican National Committee and Mitt Romney saying, well, we'll help you out, Newt, with all your debts if you give us an endorsement. And there's already a precedent because Mitt Romney and the RNC already paid off Palente's $435,000 in debt for his endorsement. So once again, here's politicians living in another world. I get $500,000 for just for saying, yeah, I like that guy. So there's another good example of these people don't live in the same world we do. They love spending other people's money. They can't control their spending. They don't care about citizens. They don't care about small businesses. And they have huge, bloated, fat egos. So this says a lot to me about our election cycle and politicians. And Newt Gingrich is a prime example, an archetype, and represents everything that's bad about Washington. So why would we want to send another guy like that there? I say, Newt Gingrich, go crawl back under the rock that you crawled out from under. Or maybe in a few years we can send you that moon base that you want to build. I'd love to see you up there. I'd like to look through a telescope and imagine you there every night. And last but not least, God, Newt Gingrich, please, 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 don't write any more books.